weekend racing. It's time to recap it. And who better to do it than Michael and Magic? Two bros/pros who cover the highs and lows of racing around the globe on every one of their shows. Real fans look forward to these guys and their last stunts, cause they know they're not talking out of their royal ascot. What they say makes sense. So ladies and gents, sit back and relax as Blinkers Off presents The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.
And they're off in the Tokyo City Cup. No surprise to see Tiz the Magician right on top immediately. Zestful comes right to him, and these two sprint away in the early going. Lure him in, 3 off the pace in third. Then Ronimo on the outside of Multiplier. So Tiz a Magician on the outside puts his head in front. Zestful will have to counter. He's now a half length behind. Lure him in third, and then Ronimo top of the stretch. Tiz a Magician well off the rail, puts away Zestful, and Lure him in, chasing in the center of the track. But it's a dominant performance for Tiz a Magician. Opening up in the Tokyo City Cup. He's in front by 6 lengths past the 16th pole, and hearing it from the crowd. Tiz a Magician and Flavien Prat win by about 8 lengths.
What's up, everybody? I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
And this is the Magic Mike Show, episode 266, Mr. Summage. Hi.
Greatest Stakes winners, buddy. Greatest Stakes winners right there.
I'm so excited.
I made the joke. I made the joke on the text chain. He's about a year early. If he was in this year's Derby crop, we got a shot. There's like an outside chance. I'm not sure, but we're not going to get too excited. But yeah, no, awesome performance by Tiz, man. That was good to see.
Oh, my God. It is the best thing. I'll jump right into it. We both had really great weekends. I'm going to jump into it. And this is the best thing that I saw was Tiz a Magician winning. And not just that. It's that now and forevermore, or as long as Equibase.com exists, when you go to Tiz a Magician's page, it says graded stakes winner right there, right on the right, underneath his record. And every time I looked at that, I just looked at that like 6 times yesterday, let alone all the great photos. My desktop background is Tiz a Magician with Ernie Belmonte, who is our photographer extraordinaire out in California. Got a really great zoomed in shot with Pratt aboard. I mean, my God. Like, how could this not be the best thing ever? For the Magic Mike Show, that Tiz a Magician wins the Grade 3 Tokyo City Cup on Sunday. It was a great time. Did you get to watch it live? Because I know you were traveling a little bit yesterday.
No, I did not get to watch it live. I landed in Atlanta and got my phone started blowing up with you and Geis going back and forth about it. I thought he hit the pick 5 at Keeneland because the thing was huge. And yeah, but no, it was Tiz the Magician taking down a Grade 3 stakes at 3 to 5, 5-horse field, but you can't take away the graded stakes win.
That's the thing. Yeah, no, it was. And listen, this is a race he very much should have won. He actually was targeting the Grade 2 Californian, which was on Saturday. That was, by the way, won by his stablemate, which made me feel even better about Tiz the Magician's chances on Sunday. But the Gary Mandela, Richard's son and the assistant trainer, kind of handling most of the duties right now for the barn. He had said that they were going to go to Tokyo City because A, the distance was going to be good. B, they wanted to build up his confidence. And a 9-length win like that, Mike, I think Tiz is probably feeling pretty good today. I
mean, I'd be feeling good about myself if I was Tiz. So I don't know how I couldn't.
So that's the best thing that I saw, which was a really great weekend, just overall. I mean, got the old car, got rid of it, turned a $5,500 profit on that one. Put all of that. I really wanted to put all of that down on Tiz the Magician because we got the check in hand about 20 minutes before the race, and I knew that I couldn't because my wife was with me. So that would have ended Magic's probably time on earth if he'd put $5,500 on Tiz the Magician to win $3,300 back. But no, it was a great time for us. But you had a great weekend. I want to hear all about it.
Yeah, best thing I saw. I was in Las Vegas this weekend, and I felt it was awesome, and I felt old but happy about it at the same time. So we stayed at Red Rock, which is off the Strip.
I love Red Rock.
Yeah, we had a room there for 3 nights, and on Friday we decided, since Marriott Bonvoy's program now includes the Cosmopolitan, we got a hotel room at the Cosmopolitan, which, by the way, has a balcony on the 66th floor. Pretty terrible decision facing the Strip. Just throwing it out there. Like, I've gotten drunk at like a brunch and thrown a burger off 2 stories. I can't imagine what people have thrown off the 66th floor of the Cosmopolitan. Anyway, Vegas is back, baby. It's like 80% full. It's Vegas with a mask. Like, that's pretty much it. But the clubs are all closed. So all the bars on the strip are like 40 deep to get one of those giant frozen drinks. And people are like dancing on the strip. And there's a dispensary like every block. So there's like 5 dispensaries. So you could just get contact high walking up and down the strip. So full Vegas shit show. Full Vegas shit show, complete. But it was a lot of fun, man. It was cool to be there. But it's funny. We stayed on the strip for one night. And Jen and I go back to Red Rock. And we're like, yeah, this is kind of nice. Like, we don't have to wait to get in any restaurant. Like, every single restaurant in Cosmo booked the entire night on a Friday night. Check-in lines were like 20 deep. It was crazy, man. So it was nice to get back and be able to easily get a place by the pool and be able to walk into the restaurants. And they had $10 craps with 10 times odds and like all this fun stuff that we could play. So I was super excited about being back at Red Rock. But man, it was great to be in Vegas. Nice to kind of unwind, and it was exciting to just kind of feel the energy, because there is so much pent up energy to just get out and do things. And man, you could feel that on the strip. I mean, people were ready to go nuts.
That's good to hear. I'm a little, well, probably for your purposes, it's probably a good thing that you left when you did, because if you're getting a contact high walking up and down the Vegas Strip just on a regular Saturday, Sunday, tomorrow's a national holiday for some people, so be thankful that you got out of Vegas before tomorrow. It's a good one. Man, I'm jealous. I miss Vegas so much. The last trip that I made before COVID was to NHC with you in Vegas, so I still think of Vegas as like the last bastion of hope. It's like, man, that's the last really great thing I did before the pandemic hit is
come on back in August, buddy. NHC in August. I'll be there. Let's go. Let's do it.
Listen, I get my second dose of the Pfizer vaccine a week from tomorrow, so yeah, I'll be ready, and hopefully by then the kid will be here and we'll calm down enough that I'm allowed to make a trip away. So we'll see if we can make that happen. But before we get into things, because we are going to be looking at the Oaklawn Park races, Anita, and then doing a lot of Derby talk, the Monomoy Girl was officially available on myracehorse.com. Got 2 shares of her before her race. Was looking for a little better finish than that. So if you want to blame somebody for her losing, you can blame My Racehorse. You can blame me and the thousands of other people like me who did it. But also, right here, Jason Hummel asking about it. Got Stormy. If you listen to the show long enough, you know that I love Got Stormy more than Monomoy Girl. She's officially available this Wednesday, so I'm going to be buying into that because she's targeting the Churchill Distaff Turf Mile, which will be Kentucky Derby Day. Yeah, I think it's going to be that Saturday. So I won't be there to be in the winner's circle when she gets her photo taken, but I'll be there. I'll be there in spirit.
I mean, they've done a great job of getting these top quality fillies on that site. Like, it's fun to own, and I get it. You know, like we've said this before, if you're buying My Racehorse to make a living, to make a bunch of money, to invest, not a great idea. But it's really fun you get to feel part of it and have that ownership piece. And if you're lucky enough to be able to be there on race day, you're able to go out and check it out. So yeah, to me, I mean, it's cool that they're getting these big time horses instead of having like, you know, the package where it's 4 claimers, right? This is much more of where you got a shot at being in major graded stakes events. And if you're lucky enough to buy a share and then win a seat, you can go in the paddock and go to the winner's circle. And that to me is where the value in this is. It's being able to extend your experience inside horse racing, not necessarily try and make a buck.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and I really hope that if you were considering it, I mean, this is what's ironic about Mike and I doing this is that we're not the target audience for My Racehorse. It's just fun for us. Yeah. The target audience are people, a lot of you who are viewing us and watching and listening. So it's meant for you to get a little taste, get you excited. If you are interested in horse racing, it's to get you further excited without really actually investing a lot. Because Mike will tell you, he's been in bigger partnerships. It gets really expensive as you start moving that decimal from 0.01% to 0.1% to 1%, right? It gets real expensive real fast.
Yeah, you'd be shocked how many bills you get too. Like, you're just like, you get a bill from a vet and then a moving company and then a trainer. And it's just like, you're like, okay, I didn't realize all this went along with it. But yeah, no, it's fun, man, when you're able to just pop a share and be able to get that piece of a horse and be able to get a shot at, like I said, going to the winner's circle, going to the paddock. And like, it's just a cool experience. You get to shake hands with Mike Smith, with whoever your trainer is, and just to meet these people. And even if it's for a second, and then be able to walk in the winner's circle if you're fortunate enough, it's definitely a very cool thing at any track you go to.
Yeah, it's absolutely fun. So if you get a chance, take a look into it. The Got Stormy tickets go on sale if you showed early interest. They go on sale Wednesday, and then they open up to the general public. I actually don't know. Stay tuned for that. Go ask My Racehorse. I don't know that information. They don't sponsor us. Why the hell we talk so much about it? That's just how much we like them. All right, Mike, we got a big show to get into. We've got Kentucky Derby stuff. We've got Oaklawn Park stuff to talk about. Let's not waste any further time. Riders up! All right, Mike, let's head to Oaklawn Park. We're going to look at the two big races that they had on Saturday, April 17th, starting with the Grade 1 $1 Million Apple Blossom Handicap, race 11 on the card. Mike, this was the race this was supposed to be the big showdown between your Preakness Stakes champion Swiss Skydiver, your two-time defending Breeders' Cup Distaff champion Monomoy Girl. Not only did that not actually turn out to be the stretch battle, neither one of them won. Latruska comes back battling hard in the stretch, never gave up, gets the narrowest of nose bobs. I mean, I'll pull up the photo at the wire because it's insane just how close she got Monomoy Girl by. But an impressive victory, an impressive effort to not give up. What are your overall takeaways from this race?
I mean, it's a fun race, man. I mean, we're going to cover a couple of these. They're just absolutely special stretch duels. And this was the first one where Monomoy Girl and Latruska just threw it down for the entire stretch. I mean, takeaways from this, look, Latruska just beat her. I mean, that's kind of the way it is here. I was, if you watch this race, you are shocked that Monomoy Girl loses. It looked like she was going to win by 8 lengths right at the top of the stretch. Like she was just going to run away from this field. My biggest takeaway. Okay, so first off, you obviously have to upgrade Lestruka off of this. She's been improving all year. We talked about her in Houston, the Houston Ladies Classic. She was able to get the job done there. Nice win in the Rampart at Gulfstream Park. Just beat by She Dares the Devil last time over the same Oaklawn course. It was nice to see her take a step forward. I thought that her going to the lead was the right move, not allowing Swiss Skydiver to go right to the lead, control the pace, but the fight back, man. That was what was incredible. She was a half length down to a champion, a horse that we all think is one of those super horses in mid-stretch. And she was able to come back and get the oats on the wire. You got to give her credit for that. Oh,
yeah, absolutely. And then I thought that it was unfair that a lot of people were blaming Florent Giroux for losing this race. I don't think that's the case at all. I watched it happen in real time, and I knew exactly what was happening. Monomoy Girl has this bad habit of looking around as soon as she passes horses, and Flo knows that. And he, a lot of times, especially if you watch any of her races last year, he times her move in the far turn, he's trying to anticipate what everyone else is going to do so that he can time Monomoy Girl. It's a very hard chess game he's trying to play because she's so, you saw what happened. She got ahead of Latruska by about a half length. And then and if you looked like her head's tilted a little bit because she's trying to figure out where everybody went. Mm-hmm. It's just a thing that happened. I mean, it sucks that if you were single to her in a pick 4 at 3-5, or if you bet her at 3-5 and you lost by a nose, I'm sorry. Like, she just got beat by a horse that has 13 wins from 18 starts now. I mean, at some point, we'll talk about the next race too. Some of these horses, Mike, they just know how to effing win, and you see it in a case like Latruska.
Well, let's also talk about the buyer a little bit. Monomoy Girl and Latruska both get 102 buyers. It's a career best for Latruska and Monomoy's second best effort ever. I mean, are we really going to come after him because the horses both ran huge? Because that's what I saw more than anything. Yeah, Monomoy, she looked around a little bit, but Latruska responded when she got past. It's not like a lot of horses get past and put away. And in this case, she got past and she fought right back. I mean, I thought Monomoy ran really well. I think she got beat. And I think it's really that simple. And sometimes it's hard to believe that when you see a horse that's been just so consistent as Monomoy Girl has. But she just got, and every now and then that happens. Like I said, I think the story out of this is A, Latruska, who you now have to consider a real threat in this division and a big time step forward here. And B, Swiss Skydiver. I think she's in trouble. I liked her a lot at Santa Anita. I talked about that with you. We talked about that on the show. I thought it was a great fit. But you go back to the Breeders' Cup Distaff. I faded her there. She got destroyed by Monomoy Girl. She was put away by both of these two horses again. The field wasn't great. That's why we were playing her in California. This is a good field. She got destroyed. I mean, she needs to take a step forward to compete with these two. I'm not sure that that's out there right now. Now, maybe she's able to race into a better form for the rest of the year, but her buyer off the layoff was great. It's not like she looked like she wasn't in form coming into this. So I have a lot of concern about Swiss Skydiver moving forward. I don't want anywhere near, sub 2-1 on her. That's for sure.
Yeah, I'll ask you a couple of field.
I should preface that.
I agree with you, and so this is why you're you, and I'm still learning. The Beholder Mile, which is when Swiss Skydiver made her big return, I was like, it's a long layoff. I had a lot of question marks, and I thought it's such a short price. I'm going to play against her. And she won, and she won impressively. I still didn't use her in this race. I singled with Monomoy Girl, but it wouldn't have surprised me if Swiss had won. But here she's racing without Lasix, and the reason for that is, she'd won the Beholder Mile without Lasix. Kenny McPeak said she's already done it. She's going to have to keep running without it when we go to other tracks. Why screw with things here? There's also was a $60,000 bonus if she had won that they would have caught for that. Does the lack of Lasix here give you any cause for concern? Because I didn't hear anything about it, and she won the Beholder Mile, so I'm thinking it's a no story.
No, I mean, she won the Beholder Mile and ran a 101 buyer without Lasix. So to me, she got beat. Like, I really think that's she ran to two really good horses. One of them that had smashed her before, right? And the other one that's on the rise. And I like really, now she is capable of running this good of a race, but the only time she's run, and now I shouldn't, like, the only time she's run this good of a race was in the Preakness, and that was against Authentic, who's a damn good horse, and one of the main reasons I liked her in the Beholder Mile. So it's not like she doesn't have this race in her. It's just she's never done it, as weird as it sounds, she's never really done it against this older female division. Now, she hasn't gotten a ton of shots at that yet, so we got to, if you want to play her back and you get 6-1 next time, okay. Like, I can see why you want to do that, but she has to take a step forward off this to be competitive with these two horses. She just got outrun.
A couple questions here from Brady and Chris in the chat. Good to see you guys. Neither one of them not really loving the ride that Robbie Alvarado gave her. Alvarado was, I think, the only jockey that's ridden her more than twice in her career, and may have lost the mount on it. It was an interesting tactic, Mike, because she drew post 2, so she was inside of Latruska and everybody else except for another broad. And she broke pretty quickly, but it looked like Alvarado wanted to try and challenge for the lead early and force Latruska to use. I didn't have an issue with it because she got the trip. There was a wide open hole at the top of the stretch, and she just didn't have that punch. What did you think about the ride?
I mean, I give it like a 3 out of 5, right? Like, I don't think it was wonderful, but I don't think it was terrible. And part of betting this horse is you're betting McPeak and Alvarado. Like, that's part of the deal, right? Like, you're not, and it's one of the reasons why you were against her at Santa Anita is that, like, I don't love the connections either. It's going to be interesting if we end up seeing Alvarado back or not. I'm not sure which way we're going to go there. But yeah, I mean, you could say she had to pass on the inside. But like, my big thing is no traffic trouble cost her the 8 lengths back that she was. And like, she just got outrun late. You could make an argument maybe you want it to be, sitting right on the neck, right, of Latruska versus being on the inside and being halfway back. I get that. Yeah, you could have gotten a better trip there. I still don't think you're beating either of them. If you get a 5 out of 5 trip or a 5 out of 5 ride here, I think that's where the concern is on my side.
Nick Feldman brings up a great point in the chat I hadn't thought about. Swiss Skydivers best figures all going longer. This is only a mile and a 16th race, not even a mile and an 8th. And we saw Swiss Skydivers, the best race of 2020, according to John White, mile and 3/16 of Preakness. So something to consider as well. One last question, and this is something that you talk about a lot on our Thursday shows when we are previewing races. You talk about the weight disparity sometimes. Latruska, because this was a handicap, was carrying 6 pounds fewer than Monomoy Girl, who was the top weight. Latruska and Monomoy Girl, once they go to regular stakes, that handicap's not going to be such a big difference. Assume they're equal weights, Mike. Do you think the outcome's any different? I
mean, probably. Right. I mean, a lot of people will disagree with me here and say that 6 pounds doesn't mean that much, but you're going a mile and a 16th. I think a 6 pound weight differential is significant enough that it's a nose difference to me. I mean, I was taught it's a length a pound, and a lot of people poo-poo all over that, but that was kind of the original metric that I was given. And so if you're seeing a 6 pound difference, yeah, it makes a big difference. I think it makes more of a difference in the longer turf races than it does the longer dirt races, but 6 pounds in like nose hairs, yeah, I think that easily could have been the difference here.
I think that one of my favorite parts about the Latruska win is that she is now just the second horse ever to win, to start its career in Mexico. Remember, she was an undefeated Mexican champion filly, won a pair of Group 1s there, to then come to the United States and win a graded stakes, and not just win a graded stakes or a grade 1. It's just incredible that she was able to do that. So pretty awesome. You don't usually see those horses come from Mexico, Chile, Argentina, Brazil, and do much, at least not initially, like she's been able to do. Let's talk about another horse, Mike, that really loves to win, and that is Silver State, the champion of the Oaklawn Handicap Grade 2 $1 million purse. Mile and an 8th on the dirt here. 5 straight wins for Silver State. He was my top pick in this race. He was Aaron Halterman's top pick over at racingnews.com and in the preview, so hopefully we were able to help you cash because you got a price. You got 9-2 on Silver State, 5 straight wins, and he's That doesn't make any sense to me, but I took advantage of it. I liked it. What did you think about this race?
Yeah, the price was unbelievable when I actually saw what I was shocked when I saw 92. I was in the casino watching this one and turning for home. I mean, you guys were ahead of me, which was interesting. So I saw like all the text come in on my phone. I didn't know if it was, I knew it was Asmussen. I didn't know if it was Silver Prospector or if it was going to be Silver State that was going to win. And so they turned for home and they're flying down the lane. And this is another, just one of those great races. I mean, it was like 6 wide at the 8th pole. I wish that we had Pete Aiello on the mic here, so we could have gotten a who do you like there, because that would have totally fit in that race.
Would have been a much better call than what we got.
No comment. This was a really fun race. I thought it's a bunch of horses that I think are a cut below the top tier of horses out there. But it's a nice purse here. You got $1 million purse, obviously, and Silver State's able to take it down. And this is another good example of a horse that seems to be improving. I mean, like you said, 5 straight wins that eclipses the late part of 2020, early part of 2021. Clearly loves Oaklawn now, 3 for 3 at the track, close to $1 million in earnings. But the buyers have kind of slowly ticked up, right? And you saw that. It's interesting because you see 2 7-furlong races to start out. You get the 97 to the 101 buyer. You see a little bit of regression there. We go first time mile to 97, then we go back up to 98, and here we go eclipsing 100 mark again to the 101 number. It'll be interesting to see what Silver State keeps doing. This horse seems to be getting marginally better each time out. Hasn't really faced the big guys yet, which I'll be interested to see what happens when the handicap division starts to shake itself out a little bit more later in the year. But it was a heck of an effort. And this horse separated himself late, which I thought was interesting too. It looked like it was going to be a photo finish at that 8th pole when you had 6 horses across the track. And this was a layup by the time you got to the finish line. You knew that Silver State was going to be your winner, but around the 16th pole.
Yeah, 8th pole, you got it at anybody's game. And at the 16th pole, Silver State. Clearly Silver State's going to win this one. A couple horses to talk about, because this was a very good field. This is a very good field. Fearless gets second by a half a length, was fighting hard along the rail, and there were some people who thought that maybe instead of him getting stuck on the inside off the turn, if he had been able to go 4, 5, 6 wide like the winner did, maybe this is a different story. Maybe he wins by a half length. Overall, what impressed me the most about this horse is that as a 3-year-old, he really struggled. As a 4-year-old last year, he really struggled when he got to the graded stakes race. Allowance optional claiming beat the piss out of him. Graded stakes races were tough for him. Comes back as a 5-year-old, wins a Gulfstream Park Mile off the bench. Now he comes here. I think this validated him as a horse that is improving and going to be a contender moving forward. What did you think?
I think he is scary next time out. I mean, we're going to get 3rd in a cycle, and the horse improved 1st to 2nd effort, like the extra distance. I think that Fearless could be dangerous next time out, especially if IRAD keeps them out. I would say there's probably more upside in Fearless than there is in Silver State. Like this is Silver State may tick up a little bit from here, but not much. Fearless could take a jump at some point, just because of the breeding and the talent level. So I would say like long-term prospects, like if anyone wins the Breeders' Cup out of this race, I would say it's Fearless, not Silver State, right? I doubt anyone in this field will win the Breeders' Cup, to be very clear. But if I was looking at a horse I thought projected more improvement over the long term, I think the horse in here is Fearless.
Hey, man, if something happens and Del Mar can't host it, we move the 2021 Breeders' Cup to Oaklawn, to Hot Springs. Single Silver State on the tickets, yeah. Express Train was the favorite, 9 to 5, coming in after winning the Big Cap. Finishing second. I don't win that. Express Train, but was coming in for John Sheriffs, was looking very strong. He just didn't really have that punch in the stretch, and it was an interesting development for him because he's always shown that ability to really pounce on horses. What did you think of the favorite, and should he just belong back in California?
Yeah, I mean, look, this is one of those interesting ones where you're just not sure how good those races were, right? I don't know how good the Santa Anita Handicap was because we're not positive how good Maxfield was in that race, right? And that's really what you're hanging your hat on in that race. And as much as I love Tis a Magician, that was who he beat in the San Pasquale, right? So and yes, he also beat Idol, but Idol wanted more distance, and there are reasons why Idol lost that race. So it's one of those situations where you're interested to see what he was able to do here and kind of how he stacked up against this field. Yeah, I was surprised he didn't have more kick down the lane because you expected him to kind of wheel up and be the one that's threatening and at least go with Silver State, but just wasn't able to, and just kind of flat when he turned for home. Not a horse. This was one of those races where you weren't going to love the favorite no matter who it was, right? So the 4.5 to 1 price on Silver State was what kind of stood out there.
I remember I was listening to Blinkers Off, and if you didn't catch it, Jared, I still don't know if Jared was actually serious about it or if he was just trolling, trying to get comments or a rise out of Aaron, but he kept thinking Owendale was going to be a factor in this race. I mean, he did the classic Owendale move, right? Which is, boy, he looks good in the stretch, and then he hits a wall out of nowhere and finishes fourth. Just more of the same for him, even if the distances go longer, I think. But what about Owendale shortening up a little bit? What if we go like Met Mile with Owendale? Are you more interested in him, or is he just a pass for you?
He's Owendale. You know the answer to that question.
I think
again, you're never going to get the price I want on the horse. That's the problem. Like if I need to try and throw the dart and hit the one time he runs huge, I want 10 or 15 to 1. So I try and hit that dart and it pays off. I'm not looking for 4 to 1 every time, right?
I mean, if I was to tell you, Mike, that Silver State and Owendale are both going to be the 9-2 third choice in this race, 11 times out of 10, you're going to bet Silver State, right? Not Owendale.
It's just, come on. Like, that's not even and that's why it surprises me that you keep getting these prices. It's just like, okay, I mean, this horse has been the favorite the last 2 times out. He's been the favorite 3 out of the last 6. It's just like, yeah, I'm never going to be interested in Owendale at the prices that he's being offered. The only time that you've gotten over 10 to 1 on this horse was in the Alley Sheba, where he was facing By My Standards, and we actually ran a really good second, and the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. Like, it's tough to bet the horse when you're not getting any prices in races that he fits better in.
Well, we had 101 matching buyers for Silver State and Fearless in this race, matching 102 buyers for Latruska and Monomoy Girl in the race in the Apple Blossom, and yet they were third best because matching 108 buyers were the best of the weekend to Royal Ship and Country Grammar in the California Stakes at San Diego Park on Saturday. This was a grade 2 race with a $200,000 purse. Not many horses in here, really nobody to get excited about. So I'm really surprised that 108 buyer came back as strong as it did. Country Grammar making his first start for Bob Baffert, had been based with Chad Brown, winner of the Peter Pan Stakes as a 3-year-old. Looked pretty good. Independence Hall, for whatever reason, was your 3 to 5 favorite. Nobody can figure out what's going to happen with that horse. Royal Ship gets the job done, giving Richard Mandela the sweep of that in the Tokyo City Cup on Sunday. What do we do with these horses? Because that 108 buyer tells you they should be, among the best in the dirt division handicap, and yet I look at them and who they beat and how this race went, and I go, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, okay, Independence Hall, we need to stop this 2-turn experiment stat. Like, this is just not working out. I don't know where that Pegasus came from, but let's just ignore that from now on. Let's get back to 1 turn. Country Grammar is interesting to me, man. Like, something happened when he went to the Bob Baffert barn.
He got older is what happened.
Yeah. Took that super soldier serum, and there he is. So he ran a monster race here. And if you look back at how well he was running with Chad Brown, you can see the progression is not. 108 is illogical. I never thought he'd run that, but a 101, 102, something like that would have made sense here. First off, this is a 4-year-old who should improve. Like, I'm not positive. I want to get really excited. We talked about this in the Bet US thing that we did. One race doesn't make a new normal, right? You need to have that consistency and be able to show multiple races to be able to really validate those buyers. So that in my mind, the 108 is not valid for either of these two. They need to do it again, and then I'll start talking about them at that top tier of the handicap level. But it means that they have a puncher's chance, I mean, it's kind of puts them in that position. And of these two, I'm more interested in Country Grammar because a Royal Ship, made no sense to me that this buyer came out here, right? Because you have a horse that had been mainly running on turf, had one effort in the grade 3 native dancer, ran an 86 buyer. This just was wild to me that you saw a 108 here from Royal Ship. So that was a big step forward. He's going to have to prove it again. I think Country Grammar is a little more valid. I'm more interested in Country Grammar moving forward. But again, treated to an amazing horse race where they just knocked heads the entire way down the stretch. All 3 of the races that we're talking about today, just awesome horse races.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I even wrote about it in the 3 stars of the week at RacingNews.com live right now. Where I said, just because we didn't have Derby and Oaks perhaps, usually you're just like, all right, we got 2 weeks, we'll just get through. If there's anything great, 3, 4 if you count Tiz Magician. Amazing graded stakes races happening this weekend. As far as the older dirt division goes, Mike, Mystic Guide is going to be coming back in quite a while from Dubai. We still haven't seen Happy Saver return, but he's going to be a fun one at 4 if and when he shows up. Nobody in California really seems to be grabbing the mantle. Idol won the big cap, but he's every inch of a 1.25 mile horse, so you're very limited to what you can do with him. We saw Express Train in Oaklawn. What do you do with this division? Who you got on top?
You don't play the favorite. That's what you do. It's a race by race situation. I think that's really, I'm not going to sit here and say, I love this horse, I love that horse. I think it's a smorgasbord of decent horses. And when you get a smorgasbord of decent horses, it's all about what the pace is. It's all about what the price is. And I think it's really going race by race and looking at what's the pace setup, Who's gonna sit the best trip here? How much pace is there? Do I want a horse closer to the lead? Do I want someone coming from the back like Idle? And then you look at the prices. Like you made a great example here. You had two horses that were 9-2. One of them I think was way more playable than the other, and that comes down to making the right decision once you're able to find the right pace setup. But from my perspective, I don't think you got that standout right, and so I'm going to be looking for horses that are middling to higher prices that we're getting the right setup in the race.
Boy, there could not be a better transition into some more Derby talk out of that, man. You're going to talk about horses we're going to be looking for on the improve at a price. Let's do some Kentucky Derby talk. Yeah, we still have a couple weeks left to go before the big day, so Mike and I aren't going to exhaust everything here, but we want to go through and give some updates. We'll brush over some if we don't have any and go a little deeper, because I know there's at least one horse that Mike brought up a really great point on the Bet US video that's going to be coming out later, so watch our Twitter. We'll let you know when it's live. It's pretty great. I'm real curious to hear what you're thinking here about some of these horses. Essential Quality, stock up, stock down. Where do you see?
I mean, I think it's flat here. Honestly, it should be stock up. Look, Essential Quality is the deserving favorite. There are absolutely no red flags with this horse. Done everything right. I thought it was interesting that you saw a 3-race progression in a 2-year-old season, and now you're seeing a 3-race progression leading up to the Derby in a 3-year-old season. If you look at the buyers, that improvement first race, improvement second, best race, the sequence third, 3-year-old, good buyer, improvement. Now you'd expect that step forward. However, Essential Quality needs to run better to beat this field. I think that needs to be said. I'm not sure enough people are saying that. I mean, we've got a 97 buyer and a horse that just threw down with Highly Motivated. You need to take a step forward if you're Essential Quality to be able to win this race. I think that some of the pace leaving the race actually helped Essential Quality as well. I think Essential Quality wants to be sitting a little bit closer to the lead and doesn't want to be 5, 6, 7 lengths back, which I think could have happened if you saw it's a red hot pace up front.
Yeah, this is going to be a common theme for the next 2 weeks. If it hasn't been already, the post draw is going to be huge for how this Derby plays out. And a week from tomorrow, April 27th at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, they're going to be live streaming the Kentucky Derby draw. So if you want to be part of that anticipatory energy when they're drawing for the Derby, it'll be live. I'm sure on TwinSpire's Twitter, YouTube, it's going to be all over the place. So you can watch for that. Rock Your World is the number 2 horse. By the way, this is racenews.com/Kentucky-Derby. This is Aaron Hultman's top 20 list right now. Rock Your World sitting at number 2. I think, at least as far as the odds go, what we've seen it with Bet US at least, that Rock Your World's the second choice on that line. At those odds, I don't like him here, though.
Yeah, for me, this is stock down. I don't think Rock Your World should be twice. We just talked about the validation of buyers. Look, Rock Your World ran huge. A lot went right in that race, though. Anyone who likes Rock Your World, and I'm going to talk about Medina Spirit in a little bit, watch that race back and watch the break. Watch which horse was faster out of the gate. It was Medina Spirit. Watch which horse then got swung 4 wide because a 45-1 shot decided to split the two of them. It was Medina Spirit. And then one horse kind of just tripped out. That was Rock Your World. So I'm not so sure that I want to be seeing, 5.5-1, 6-1 on one of them and 16-1 on the other. I don't think the gap is that big. And I see zero chance that I don't think Rock Your World makes the lead in the Derby. We'll put it that way. Not zero chance, but I'd be surprised if Rock Your World is your pace setter.
Especially because there's now a new jockey aboard, or an old jockey coming back. Joel Rosario rode him to his maiden breaking debut on January 1st in a turf sprint, then left Santa Anita, gave the reins over to Umberto Rispoli, who won the Pasadena Stakes on turf and was aboard the Santa Anita Derby. Boy, this is the tough part of the game, Mike. Rispoli did nothing wrong, loses the mount because, well, it's Joel Rosario. It's really hard to pick somebody better than Joel Rosario in a big race. But he doesn't like to go to the front with horses if he doesn't have to. What are your thoughts kind of on the jockey change? I didn't really see you do a Twitter rant this weekend like everybody else did.
Look, man, it's part of the game. Like, if Sadler and the ownership group think that Rosario is a better shot to win the race, they're going to go that direction, right? But I don't love it. I mean, look, I love Rosario. Rosario is an excellent jockey. Rosario rides some horses weird. Rosario doesn't necessarily go to the front or to the lead. In a 20-horse field, a lot can go wrong if you don't get out there. And like, one of your weapons with Rock Your World is your tactical speed. Now, like, Rock Your World doesn't need the lead. He was able to win off the lead twice on the turf. But man, it's just like, it's tough because it's just not the perfect jockey fit for this horse, right? And now, that being said, like, he finishes really well. Rosario finishes really well with horses. Maybe that's a good setup here if Rock Your World does sit off the lead. But it's scary to me when you're trying dirt for the second time, coming off a career best buyer, like all these reasons why you're worried about a bounce and why you're worried that race isn't completely valid, and then you're going to switch the jockey, which is probably going to switch the style in a bigger field. Like, it just, to me, it's too many question marks to take the price.
There's always just just a bad juju that goes with that too. I mean, I know he was aboard the first time, but I'm not gonna try and say your name. But rooting against Rocky World due to the Respoli demotion is something that I am. Oh boy, and you just had to make that comment too. I'm about to kick you out of the chat now, put you on timeout. Let's move on before we do that and talk about who is Hot Rod Charlie. The jockey on him is so good he can win on Tis a Magician. Oh boy. Flavien Prat picks up the mount because Joel Rosario, well, he couldn't figure out if he liked concert tour well enough or not. So Doug O'Neill says, fine, we're going to pick for you. You're going elsewhere. Puts Flavien Prat aboard. I think it's a great move. I think it's a pretty lateral move. They're both extremely talented jockeys. Pratt has been riding him in the morning. This is still right now my Derby pick. This is crazy, but this is still my Derby pick. You're not as hot on him as I am, though.
No, I mean, I don't love the fact that we ran away from California. That worries me a little bit about what the upside the O'Neill barn thought was with the horse. Although you can make the argument they just wanted the easier path to make sure they were in the Derby. So, not going to completely knock them with that. Look, when we talked about the Louisiana Derby, the best horse we thought going into it was Mandaloun. Mandaloun didn't show up. Hot Rod Charlie beat Midnight Bourbon by about what Mandaloun would if Mandaloun, we believe him, showed up. You're getting 10 to 1 on one, 33 to 1 on the other. A pretty easy idea where my money's going to go in that sense. I also don't think Hot Rod Charlie can make the lead. I think that's where he runs his best race. I think he's not going to make the lead in this race. He's just not fast enough, And if he does make the lead, he's going to be burnt. So the way that he wins this race is to sit third, get the lead, and hold. That's a lot to ask for this horse.
But if you had to pick one jockey to make sure he's sitting in the perfect position that if he's good enough, he wins, it's either Pratt or Mike Smith, and I'm we're getting one of them on him. So, Steve Asmussen would disagree with you about some of the IRAD's rides on horses, how we should do it.
It's his go-to. So,
highly motivated, sitting here number 4, second in the Bluegrass by Justin Knack to Essential Quality, was setting the pace. That isn't his preferred running style, but this is a horse that has never won at 2 turns, as you said on the Bet US show, Mike. Has never won a graded stakes, just won the Nyquist on the Breeders' Cup undercard at Keeneland, and that was a 6.5 furlong sprint. So I'm selling highly motivated at this point because I'm not super high on the horse that just barely beat him in the Bluegrass. What about you?
Yeah, his 2 best races are also over the Keeneland track, so I'm worried he might be a little bit of horse for course as well. So that's another reason to sell. And finally, it's an Into Mischief horse. Not a lot of Into Mischiefs getting a mile and a quarter and winning in big graded races. Obviously, Authentic did last year. No.
That's about it. All right.
Well, but for the most part, Into Mischief is not someone I want going a mile and a quarter. Now, you may see more distance develop the longer he's been out there. But I think right now it's 2 graded stakes winners at a mile and a quarter, one of them on turf, one on the dirt.
Darren Sipes, I see you in the chat, buddy. We're going to get to your horse now. The number 5, Known Agenda for Todd Pletcher, winner of the Florida Derby, beat a pretty questionable, lackluster Florida circuit of including Greatest Honor to do the Greatest Honor, been killing everybody who would come up to against him before then. Not only do I want to know your thoughts on Known Agenda, but also answer Darren's question, because you were talking about third start of the form cycle for a couple of these horses. This is going to be 4th or 5th start, depending on how you look at it, for Known Agenda. So is that Pletcher progression really there? How do you handicap this one?
So I think you could still make an argument it is. This is the 4th start of this cycle. Look, I've been back and forth on Known Agenda. But after the Arkansas Derby, I kind of feel like you have to give Known Agenda a bump forward. We were downgrading the Florida circuit, and Known Agenda just blew out the Florida circuit. I think it's important to note that. And the Greatest Honor, who ended up running 3rd in that race, was multiple lengths behind. This was an impressive win in the Florida Derby. And to me, what I really like about Known Agenda, and if you can't tell, I've been watching Derby replays all day today. You go back and you watch the Sam F. Davis. The horse sort of misses the break, gets squeezed, gets bumped. It's 11 lengths back at first call. Horse has never been more than 4 1/4 lengths back at first call. I think that is a huge part of why that Sam F. Davis was so bad. He was still running home. I think you could see this horse take another step forward. I think Known Agenda is really dangerous.
I'll say that I would count this. This is actually what I thought you were going to say. This is the 3rd start for him wearing blinkers, and his whole form reversal, along with getting a better trip after the Davis, has been with adding the blinkers. And so, if you want to go, really, split hairs here and talk about 3rd start of the form cycle that way, you definitely can. But I'm glad that he asked that question, because I think Darren's asked that before and I didn't get a chance to bring it up. So I'm glad he asked it. By the way, guys, as we keep going through this, guys and gals, shoot us your questions in the chat. We'll answer them here. You
could also make a case for Known Agenda that the second race wasn't actually a race. As weird as that sounds, it was a $75,000 optional claimer where he won by 11.
Yep.
So I understand it was a race, but it's not necessarily, he didn't go all out. It was more of a paid workout. I mean, you could make a case that it just fit right in the schedule to get the horse right, to be able to get him out there and get confidence back. And it not necessarily is that same like huge effort that it takes out of you. So I'm not worried about Known Agenda not progressing. I think the fact that they ran to that allowance into the Florida Derby showed that the confidence that they had in that horse.
And also son of Curlin. So even if he doesn't win the Derby, this has got a real Vino Rosso vibes. Just keep waiting until he comes forward. We're going to bet you in the 2022 Breeders' Cup Classic at Keeneland. Number 6, Medina Spirit. Been waiting to talk about this one because this is a horse within the Racing Dudes team. His stock is really rising in the last 24 hours. Talk about it.
Yeah, man. Like I didn't want to like Medina Spirit. I really didn't. But I went back and first off, I mean, you have Baffert, you have Johnny V. They've won 3 of 6 and 2 of 6 the last Derbies. They won the last one wire to wire. The speed coming out of this race is huge for Medina Spirit. The fact that, and you mentioned this on the text chain, look, Baffert wanted to rate this horse. Baffert wanted to rate this horse because he had Life is Good and he had Concert Tour, who were faster than this horse. But now he doesn't. This horse is fast enough to make the lead. This horse beat Hot Rod Charlie when making the lead. This horse is faster than Rock Your World, just didn't go to the lead. And if you watch the replay of the Santa Anita Derby, you like that's an important one to watch because of the trip, especially early, and how Johnny V rode Medina's Spirit. I think this is your leader turning for home. I think this is your pace. And I'm really interested to see Slim's pace thesis to see if he agrees with me on who's going to be out there. But if Medina's Spirit and Johnny V get loose, I mean, I'm feeling some deja vu might happen. And like right now offshore, you're looking at a 16-1 price on this horse. Like it is scary that you're going to have a Baffert Johnny V horse who probably is your leader if they decide to send. And I'd be surprised if they didn't.
Yeah, and Nick Feldman's with you in this. I've said this before. When Nick Feldman is right in line with you on something, if I was on the other side, I've learned through trial and error enough, just join the other side. It's going to be off right more often than not. But he says with Medina has an early 122 time form pace, it's going to be on the lead. Yeah, 122 going 1.25 miles. That horse is going to go on the lead. Plus, not only the authentic examples that Mike brought up from both the Derby and the Classic last year. Remember Gamine and John Velasquez, when he got on board, he just knows how to ride these horses for Bob. And Bob loves to use him because John listens. Bob says, ride this way. John says, okay, Bob. And then he goes out and wins. So another thing to watch out for. Number 7, Midnight Bourbon. Steve Asmussen, this is the horse that's keeping us out of the hole in the fantasy league. Boy, he's fun. I would say Medina Spirit at 16-1 with the offshore books is my long shot pick. But other than that, I really like Midnight Bourbon here. What do you do with his stock?
I'm not sure he can win the Derby, but I think that this is probably right. He's one of the most consistent horses in the class where he's going to run well. He's going to run right behind the pace, and we'll see what he's got down the lane. This is one of those price horses in the 3rd and 4th slot to me in the Super.
Yeah, if you watch how he runs, he didn't win the 2nd or 3rd preps in Louisiana, but he was always right there at the end, and he didn't give up. And if you watch the gallop outs, he's trying to still pass those horses. So he, being by Tiz now, he reminds me a little bit of Tiz the Magician in that he doesn't have a strong kick that's really going to blow past horses and wow you, but he just keeps on chugging. And if he can stay positioned out into a nice clear path he's getting Mike Smith to ride him for the first time, so there's that. I think Mike's going to be able to get it. Listen, I'm going to be playing, I'm playing the Louisiana Derby Exacta, which is Hot Rod Charlie with Midnight Bourbon, and they're both getting California jockeys. I think I'm a little too biased to bet on the Kentucky Derby. I think I've officially realized I can't bet this year, logically. I'll just have to play your picks.
Well, the horse right behind him, too, Mandaloon, sitting there in 8th. I think that's about right for this horse, and you're getting 33-1 right now. The fact that Midnight's 20-1, Midnight Bourbon's around 20-1, and Mandaloon's sitting at 33-1. Hot Rod Charlie is sitting at 9-1. Mandaloon was what, 7-5 in that race, 8-5, and was too bad to believe. Like that's the thing that the effort makes no sense because he was so bad. So for me, I'll take Mandaloon as the best price on the board right now. Like there's no way in bleep that this horse is going to be 33-1 come Derby Day. So you're going to get value in that sense. And I've already heard, like, he's supposedly worked like a monster this weekend. And I've heard multiple people who have the same opinion as me that there's some value here. I'd be surprised if you're getting, 18-1 on Derby Day. So you're getting almost 2-1 right now if you want to play Mandaloon. So I think that there's a lot of value there. I think 8th is about right. I actually have him higher than Midnight Bourbon personally. I probably have him like right around top 5.
And listen, you're not the only one because we actually found out during the fantasy league draft back in December that Geist Battle, whose team drafted him, had some inside information that Juddmont Farms owned and bred the horse. It was extremely high on his chances for the Kentucky Derby. And I'm with you. If you liked Mandaloon Going to Louisiana Derby, the fact that Brad Cox is saying, I've got Essential Quality, I've got Caddo River, who we're going to talk about, and I'm still sending Mandaloun, tells you that he agrees with Mike. That Louisiana Derby, I can't figure out what happened. We'll just move on. We'll talk about Caddo River in a minute, but the same thing happened with that horse when he was so bad in his second race that Brad was like, we're going to send him back to the Arkansas Derby because he's not that bad. But we'll get there in a second. First off, Midnight Bourbon's stablemate and Steve Asmussen Barnes Super Stock is 9th. A really impressive effort in the Arkansas Derby, but I don't know how I feel about him and actually betting him in the Kentucky Derby. What about you?
Yeah, no thanks. I mean, the top two just kind of stopped, and then Superstock seemed to sit the perfect trip and was able to go by there late. But I don't want anything in Superstock, especially if he's at any type of short price. Maybe you could make an argument, can kind of clean up the try or the super, but for me, anything outside of that is a pipe dream.
Number 10, Soup and Sandwich, the Vinnie Blonde Dream Machine from Mark Cassie's barn. Second in the Florida Derby to Known Agenda. So if you love Known Agenda, do you love Soup and Sandwich here?
Not really. I mean, Soup and Sandwich is one of those horses that's going to need to be close to the pace, and I just don't think he's as fast as a horse like Medina Spirit. I think that's going to, for lack of a better term, break his will on the back stretch and the turn for home. I don't think that Soup and Sandwich is going to be able to stay close enough and then pass horses late.
I feel like even though this Kentucky Derby doesn't seem to have the really big heavy hitters that we've seen in years past, I think they have overall some of the best names. Because if you'd imagine people playing hunches like Soup and Sandwich because we're going to watch the Kentucky Derby at lunchtime, or Mandaloun, Nick Feldman said, and people who are big fans of the Mandalorian. I don't know that actually has anything to do with it, but it sounds similar to it, and I do that with my brain a lot. Midnight Bourbon, there's a bunch of bourbons in here, people whose names are Charlie, all sorts of things like that. And then you get to a horse like Caddo River, who's homebred by Shortleaf Stables based in Arkansas, and they almost won the Arkansas Derby. What do you do with him?
I mean, is he officially going?
It sounds like they're on the fence with one leg over into yes, they're going.
I mean, he's a very important horse because he matters a lot for the pace, right?
Yes.
I mean, that's the reason why Caddo River is important here. I don't think he can win the race. I've never been high on Caddo River. If you've watched the show, I'm not a big Caddo River fan. I will continue to stand on my Caddo River is not a great horse going 2 turns when he has to have the lead against top-tier 3-year-olds, and I will do very well by standing on that. But he could really affect the race here. I have no interest in the horse, but he could be a big effect.
I'm with you. And again, this is the Saratoga Slim pace analysis that's going to be very important. If you don't know, Saratoga Slim every year writes a pace thesis for the racingnews.com where he really does an in-depth look at the pace scenario and the setups and predicts how it's going to work. And the guy's a goddamn genius when he does it. He's won major broadcasting awards, journalism awards for his writing. So it's a really serious thing. And it's why we reference it a lot and we say pace makes the race. Saratoga Slim's going to tell you how that's going to work here. Speaking of pace, how about the 12th Helium winner of the Tampa Bay Derby from Mark Cassie? What you think?
Yeah, no thanks. I don't love the sign that you're going from Tampa Bay and training up to the Derby. I would have liked to see him one more time.
The only time, that's a huge thing. He made one start, Tampa Bay Derby, and now we're going to go to the Kentucky Derby, and there's a lot of time in between, and he didn't really, he beat Known Agenda, Known Agenda was in the same F-Davis, so he didn't really beat anybody that great in that race. Yeah, I'm with you. Same for me. It goes for the 13 Like the King winner of the Jeff Ruby Stakes at Turfway Park, taking advantage of the fact that Churchill Downs owns that, and they decided to make it a 100-point race for no goddamn reason. What do you think about Like the King?
Not very interested. We'll talk about another one coming out of that race, which I'm a little more interested in. But yeah, Like the King is a good synthetic horse. Ran a great race.
Yeah.
Not interested in the Derby.
I'm with you. 14 Bourbonic, the bomber of all bombers for the Kentucky Derby Trail, won the Wood Memorial Stakes, defeating at the last second number 15 Dynamic one, both from the Todd Pletcher barn. Before we go to the third one on the list, talk about those two and if you want anything to do with them in exotics or anything.
I'm a hard pass on Aqueduct. I mean, I think I've made that pretty clear the entire stretch here. I don't think that circuit's just random. It's not that good, and that race collapsed pretty good. So yeah, I'll pass on both of those horses.
Listen, if Tacitus couldn't get the job done coming out of Aqueduct, ain't nobody getting the job done coming out of Aqueduct. Number 16, St. Hood, second in the Jeff Ruby Stakes, also from the Todd Pletcher barn. This is who you were alluding to earlier when we talked about Like the King. You like this one more than the King himself.
I do. Progression, third start in the form cycle, third start off the layoff. We got to break that Apollo curse again. This horse didn't start until its 3-year-old season, so that's definitely a thing here. But go back and watch the Jeff Ruby Stakes. This is why replays are so important. Best horse in that race was St. Hood. He got shut off. Not the winner's fault, but he got shut off and then re-rallied. And that to me is always very impressive when you have that stop and go movement. So I think that St. Hood's wanted a price that could definitely come up and grab second, third, fourth. A long shot to win. Long shot to win. Don't get me wrong. but a bomb that will have something to say at the end is how I feel about Sainthood.
Speaking of bombs that have something to say at the end, how about Obesos? Because this is a horse that's getting a lot of steam, and a lot of people are really starting to love this horse because of the human connections. I retweeted it just before we went live on the show, but there's a really great feature. It's about 4-minute long video that Twin Spires Racing put out looking at the exercise rider for Obesos and then the jockey Marcelino Pedroza and their relationship together and with the horse. And the Foleys are a great family-run organization, so it's a really great feature. Go check that out. He just seems like a horse that is going to keep chugging, come up there late. He's got a feeling to me, Mike, like he's not going to win, but man, third or definitely fourth in the Kentucky Derby. He's making my superfecta tickets at the bottom. What about you?
I will be betting with my head, not my heart, and leaving him off.
But with your heart, talk about that. Do you have a heart connection, or do you just mean the human connection angle?
I mean that the human connection is a terrible reason to bet on a horse.
Oh yes,
that's yes. What I mean. The story is great around this horse, and it would be an amazing feel-good story. My money will not be on this horse come Derby Day in any part of my superfecta.
Yeah, the 18 Dream Shake is not certain to be going, but Aaron has him ranked 18th right now because, as far as we know, he's going until we're told otherwise. He may go to the Pat Day Mile. I think I might have a little interest in the Pat Day Mile. I have less than zero interest in this race.
Yeah, I quit Dream Shake after last race.
Yeah, that's Anita Derby 30. He should have done a lot better than that, and he just looked like it was too much too soon for him, which is what we were a little afraid of. Hidden Stash, fourth in the Bluegrass for Vicky Oliver. This is another horse that just keeps seeming to show up places and cash checks, which is great as the owner, but again, I don't want anything to do with this horse in the Derby.
This to me is another one that you could put in that third or fourth spot. I mean, this horse just likes to slop it up late and just kind of run into that try, run into that super, and I wouldn't be shocked if you see something similar to Derby. You could also, if you go back and watch the replays, this horse has some lead change troubles. Maybe you could make a case who figures it out. All of a sudden, we're running really well. Clearly wants the added distance. I think 1.25 miles actually is good for this horse. So you could make some arguments as to why Hidden Stash is better than 19th on this list.
You see him on the wrong lead, about a 1/4 mile behind Hot Rod Charlie Midnight Bourbon, duking it out for the win. And boy, he's on the wrong lead, but he's chugging, he's coming. I can see that happening. The last on the list here, number 20, Get Her Number from Peter Miller, fourth in the Arkansas Derby, and I've already spent too much time talking about him.
Yeah.
Question here from Nick Feldman came in. I thought it was interesting. If it's raining on Derby Day, any horse become more interesting? I'll tell you one for sure. Curlin's love the slop. Known Agenda's going to love the slop if he gets it. I have a feeling that, especially because his dam side has a good, strong turf background. They do well on wet ground. So I really think that's one to watch if it shows up raining. What about you?
Give me a second. I'm flipping through. Tap It. Essential Quality actually is generally Tap It's a pretty good mud sire. Street Sense, Concertor, he's out now, so that doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Tis Now, Midnight Bourbon's generally a pretty good one. Mandaloon Into Mischief's a pretty good one, which also means Highly Motivated gets that vote. Generally, what you'll see is a lot of these top sires are very good in the slop as well. Soup and Sandwich Into Mischief, so he would probably be a little bit better. Sainthood. By Mashawish, who's Magadoro is one of those that is definitely a big time slop sire. So that one would take a step forward. Hidden Stash, Constitution, Son of Tap It. That one would be another one I'd be a little bit interested in. Orb, Malibu Moon, and Obesos would be one, a pedigree that fits too. So ironically, probably about half the field here would take a step forward in an off track, let me rephrase that. Would handle the off track well, maybe not take a step forward, but I think you got quite a few horses that wouldn't mind the slop.
Darren with one question here. Any thoughts on this angle? Need to have a certain speed figure depending on the number of races this year?
Not necessarily. I think this is one of the most even fields that we've seen in a long time. I mean, I feel like Essential Quality at 5-2 should be your favorite, but there's not many metrics that show that Essential Quality should be your favorite, if that makes sense. At least not 5-2. It shows that you should have 4 or 5 horses that all should be around 5 or 6 to 1. Because Essential Quality's done nothing wrong. I don't want to take anything away from Essential Quality, but Essential Quality's numbers don't match up with a couple of other horses in this race. Now, those horses you have big time question marks with them, like Rock Your World, who has the best buyer coming into this race. Did it once, did it on the lead, did it in the perfect trip, did it on a speed favoring track. So we sure want.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
And so you have these situations where you're looking at horses between 6 and 10 to 1 that are all about the same from a form perspective as Essential Quality. Now that's from a buyer and my personal DRF style handicapping. I'm not positive about the rags or anything like that. So there are other plays you can handicap where you might say one is a standout or another, but I was also being told the Greatest Honor was a standout when I clearly disagreed with that. So I think it depends how you're handicapping, but in the way I look at this, I think you could have 7 horses that win the Derby, and I don't think anyone should be sub 5-1. And that's my main reason why, like, I won't pick Essential Quality. I think Essential Quality has done nothing wrong and should be the favorite, but at the 5-2 price, and I think that's going to be about what you get on race day, I'm not interested.
Manu with the last note here. If King Fury qualifies, he won and posted best buyer in the slot that was winning the Lexington last out. That was also his first start since November, so second start angle, and also son of Curlin. So, yeah, he's going to like that. Oh, yeah, and then John Herco here with the 95 buyer. But then you got to guess Kenny McPeak. You want to play Kenny McPeak in the Kentucky Derby?
Well, you're also playing a dead closer, and that, yes, the buyer was good. Like, I'm not going to, but that race collapsed. I'm talking, like, they went 45 and change. And like we were there, we joked about this because Brian and I looked at each other and said, "Who's in last?" Like, because that's going to be the horse that wins, and that's what happened there.
That's exactly what happened.
The last and second to last horses ends up running 1-2 and just a complete collapse of a race. Now, I'm not saying that the buyer wasn't good, but man, like it was. You can't dream of a better setup than what King Fury got there, and he went on the rail too the entire time. So he saved ground and then swung out at the open clear. It's like just a perfect trip and a perfect setup for him.
All right, that's going to do it for this episode of the Magic Mike Show. Thanks so much for joining Mike and I to talk about some of the fun racing weekend and doing a deep dive on the Kentucky Derby. And look, we got 2 weeks till the day. There's going to be a lot more of this. Pretty much every Racing Dude social media account at some point, we're going to be doing something each day here leading up to the Kentucky Derby. Over at racingdudes.com, I just posted this right before we went live. It says Midnight Bourbon drills bullet work at Churchill Downs for Kentucky Derby, which he did. It's a very good-looking work. I love this photo of it, but in this, you're going to see updates on just about every goddamn horse that we talked about. You want to know where they're working, when they're working, who's working them, who they're working with. It's all going to be right here. And hey, look, even a little note about starting in my dreams because he's sitting 3 positions out, and the way things are going, Mike, he's going to be in the Kentucky Derby.
I'm surprised you didn't go to name the article Bullet Bourbon.
Well, that's the short version of it. I can't listen for SEO purposes, Mike. You can't use 2 words like that. We've learned that before. You can't do that.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that. I just like the handicap races.
Also over at racingdudes.com, of course, we've got the handicapping products that have been red hot. Aaron crushed it at Tampa Bay on Sunday for I think like $4 or $5 grand in a pick 4, pick 5 sequence. So that was pretty cool. We got to see some customers cashing on that. And of course, the Samo bombs are available as well. So go check it out here at racingdudes.com. Mike, you got an idea where you're heading this week? Because we've got Keeneland, I think, for another day or 2, and then they're done.
Yeah, I'm going to check it out and see which way we go. I'm probably going to put out a grid for free on Wednesday or Thursday for Keeneland, so make sure you follow me on Twitter for that. We're closing out the meet here soon, so I want to make sure we give some love back. So make sure you're following on Twitter there, and we're going to throw that out there. Not sure where I'm going to go on the weekend yet. I want to take a peek at the fields and see who is riding where before I kind of commit down to what track I want to go to. Keeneland was so close, especially on Sunday. We had both big prices and hit a $30 winner going 2 deep and had a nice late pick 3 to close it out, but it just got snapped off by 2 separate races in there, which cost us the sweep of the card. So it's tough sometimes, and it can get frustrating at Keeneland every now and then because you get to the price and then, you have the 1-5 beaten by the 11-1 shot that you just never could get to. So I'm going back and forth on where we're going to end up yet, but we'll figure it out. We'll definitely post it up and let everybody know.
Coming up this week on Thursday, we'll be live at 5:30 Eastern, 2:30 Pacific. However you're watching us, come back and join us. We had to delay it a week, but Dr. Tang is going to be joining as the guest handicapper, submitting his ticket. We don't know the sequence yet. I told him he's got until Wednesday to figure things out. Golden Gate Fields does have a late pick 4 sequence on Saturday and Sunday that's both guaranteed at $200,000. They have a lot of good stakes action Saturday. This is the biggest day of the year at Golden Gate. Actually, Mike, a year ago, you and I were supposed to go to Golden Gate for the weekend and kind of be the guest handicappers and hosts, and then COVID happened, so we didn't get to do that. But
it'd be fun. We'd love to go back, Golden Gate. If you ever want to invite us again, we do it.
We'll come back soon, maybe next year. But yeah, tune in then. Sorry,
Well, Magic coughs. Make sure you support your local tracks too. We've got some really fun, smaller racetracks going. Obviously, Golden Gate has some nice pick 4s and pick 5s, but we also have Indiana Grand with the 11.99% takeout, and Canterbury is starting up soon with the 10% takeout as well. So make sure you support those guys. I think Lone Star actually has a low takeout pick 5 too. So a lot of good tracks for the kind of second tier tracks that are running that are going to have some nice pools with low takeouts so you can get involved in. Make sure you keep an eye on the pick 5 carryovers because you get those quite a bit at those tracks for 20, 30, 40,000, and those are some fun pools to play into on the second day.
And make sure you're following Mike on Twitter At some about that. At some about 18 number 8, because he finds those or people let him know about them. He posts about it and say, hey, we're going here, and he'll post tickets or ideas or anything like that to try and help you out so you can cash in on some of that as well. I am at Curtis Kellaward. Corporate Overlords at Racing_Dudes. Mike and I were on the Bet US Kentucky Derby early preview video that should be posting pretty soon today on Monday the 19th. Yep. Make sure you follow us on Twitter and we will tell you when it's available. And until next time, I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
Good luck this week.
The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.